Hey everyone out there, I'm Ben, I'm from the Creation Academy crew, and I'm here with Tracy. And Tracy, we just showed you the testimonial we showed everyone else. How did it feel watching that? I think you filmed that about 6 months ago. How did it feel watching that again?
Oh my goodness. It reminded me of so many choices and brilliances that I've chosen. And some of the things have altered and changed because the world has altered and changed since I've done it. The biggest thing is it really showed me watching myself do that. I just had the awareness I wouldn't be sitting right here, right now, in a whole different place. I'd still be living and doing what I was doing 3-4 years ago. I wouldn't be expanded. I wouldn't be who I am right now. I just had that glimpse of seeing what my world would have been like if I hadn't chosen it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. and like, so tell people, like, because you had some plans you mentioned there, which I know didn't happen. And tell people, what happened there and how you've shifted and how you've changed and what you're creating now.
So initially we were going to be moving out of country to Mexico, which is still in our realm of possibilities. It's just being delayed for later, mostly because of how the world has changed. And it's important for me to be able to fly back and forth, be able to re-enter as I need to. And there's just certain things that I'm not willing to do to make that happen, but there's no wrongness in it. So one of the big things is, like, even just being in this has given me, like, hey, what's the next possibility? What else could we choose here? Not that it's like, oh my gosh, this didn't happen, this dream is done. It's like there's no negative in it. It's just like, hey, what else can we choose here? What else can we create here? What else is going to be possible for us, in the next few months? So it's still an anticipation. It's just showing up differently.
So let me see if I get this right. Instead of going into the problem of, oh my God, it didn't happen, you're in the idea of, okay, well, what's next? What's going to show up differently?
Yeah, because it's not a problem. It's really just turning it. And I mean, that's a big thing that Creation Academy, the stuff that Cory, puts out there really teaches you is, it's only a problem if we concentrate on it. And I've called it a problem. It's just an opportunity for me to create and do something different. And then I ask, what other energies are going to contribute to me? So there's still that same excitement of what's going to show up.
Can you tell us a bit about what you're creating at the moment?
I've dipped my toes into another business that I didn't expect that I was going to, a whole nother wellness area for quantum wellness app. But there's also some stuff that's been kind of playing at my corners of the edges of my quantum field. So I'm actually going to be taking some more classes and really stepping more. I'm just in the development stages, so I can't give too much, but it's really me stepping completely into a whole area that I've kind of resisted and didn't want to quite show up, but it's now very much there. And, and again, I mean, it's really a lot of it all has to do with everything and that support that I've gotten in Creation Academy and that encouragement of actually always asking and the willingness to be more.
What's that? Because you've been in Creation Academy for 3 years now. So obviously you've gone through the different levels and the different underpinnings of the app. What's it been like having the support while going through that for such a period of time?
Oh my goodness. I can't imagine not having it. And I, like I said in the other this is one program, like programs always talk about having that, but they don't always deliver. They can't deliver on it. And this program has it. What Cory's created in it is so unique that I haven't seen it duplicated elsewhere. Knowing that I can reach out at any time and that there's somebody there. Now you all make your own connections also, but it has been a foundation for me. This is a question that I was asking myself last week, because the very first year that I went into Creation Academy, the demand was to have my back relationships that were nurturing to me. And when I asked that, I didn't realize how many relationships were going to fall away because I thought I had that. And it was uncomfortable, but then I seen how I was receiving that in Creation Academy. So one of the things is that I was asking myself is this question is, it's not just also who is there when times are rocky or rough, but who is also there that will celebrate all your successes. And I realized that there's very few people in the external world that fit in both of those, but Creation Academy over the past 3 years has. So sometimes people want to also diminish you when you're succeeding. This has never been. It doesn't matter if it's like, hey, I've got this up in my world and this is crunchy, or oh my gosh, this is amazing and this happened. Everybody is just there to celebrate and have your back. So yeah, that to me is extremely unique.
I love that. And that's one of my favorite things, celebrating people. It's so much fun. And to share that with them and be part of that is really amazing. What's your biggest highlight in the 3 years you've been in Creation Academy?
The biggest highlight is stepping into a version of myself that I may have gotten a glimpse of, but actually didn't believe was possible.
How has that changed your life?
I'm unstoppable. I in the way of that, what other people's judgments and views and thoughts are not something that stops me anymore. So I'd like to say I was a shadow of who I actually am now showing up. I don't need to be a shadow. I can shine. I am the leader in my life. And what other people think or how they judge it isn't an influence to me any longer. I didn't actually think it was then. So it's amazing how much more was actually available to me. So if that's available now, I wonder what else is going to be available for me in the future.
That's right. One thing I notice you do really well is you ask yourself questions, and you manage to really, like, when things are going on, you manage to really go, hold on, I need to take a step back and ask myself questions and get, like, you're willing to take a step back and go, I need to ask myself questions and wait to see what happens so I can choose what to do next. Is that something, would you agree with me?
Yes, yeah.
Cool. Is that something you've really learned over your time in Creation Academy? Does that come natural, or how does that feel for you?
I think some of it came natural, and then I learned to build on that. But where I learned to build on it, because I've always been a questioner, is that before, when I would question it maybe with a little bit of the wrongness of me, versus being in just allowance of me, and knowing that it's just, and this is the thing, this is the big part, that what I learned is taking that natural capacity, but as Cory always says, it's just data. It's just information. And when I really could grasp that, it brought being able to ask a question and being the space and being that allowance to a whole different information, to a whole different level of information, because then there's no wrongness. So that actually took me out of also making me wrong or seeing the wrongness in me.
You have been in Creation Academy 3 years. You've grown through the program, and you've also grown to the point where you're actually contributing to the program in so many ways. And so it's not just contributing to you now, you're contributing to lots of people within the program on a massive level. How has that been, watching the program grow for you and watching you grow with the program and taking on those new roles?
Well, because when you're going through Creation Academy, you can go through your next levels are leadership. So there's actually that component of where you're actually being a demand in your own world to step up to being a leader, but you're also doing it in your own natural way, but with a lot of support. So that they're all there also with you. So for me, I was being a leader in my world, but again, at a very small scale, in my very small little pond. I have facilitated and I've done numerous things, but it was on a very small scale. And the only way I can explain it is in a very small pond. And then it's moving into being a leader amongst a whole bunch of other leaders. That's very different. That's a whole different invitation and a different energy to show up. There's a demand of you having to show up as you when you're surrounded by such potent and amazing creators. So I don't know if I would have been driven to lift myself up to that extent without also having those potent people around me.
And you have contributed on such a big level to actually creating that program as well. So I know I am really grateful for that.
Oh, thank you. I'm super grateful for this program. It's life-changing. If you're willing to ask for more and really want to bring your life up to something, to a whole different standard, taking it into a whole different timeline, dimension, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. It is a super upgrade. It's a quantum leap.
I'd like to know, now that you're out of the pond, as you said, what's next for you?
Right at the moment, and this is the first time in my life that I am just taking moment by moment with no stress, no, oh my gosh, how is this going to turn out? What is that? I am just completely being in the energy, and I'm just being very present in a way that I've never actually been able to, because there's always the, what, I got to do this. Oh, I got to figure this out. I got to know what the future is going to be. All I know is that future is dynamic, and I don't have to figure it all out now. I'm just taking that step by step and moment by moment. And that's a huge gift.
Trace, that has been fantastic. Is there anything you'd like to share with people who might be considering applying for Creation Academy?
Yeah, if you're considering it and you're a little bit fearful, or, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I create this? Just know that you can. If you really desire it, this is really where your energy and your path is meant to be and go, choose it. I mean, when I chose it, I didn't know how I was going to create what I required to be able to take it and to do it. I mean, I had a couple jobs on the go. I was busy. And the money, so many different components, but I just knew this was going to change my world. And in that, I also then was in the space of, okay, if this is where I'm meant to be, this is how it's going to where is going to contribute to me. Show me, universe. Let's make this happen.
All right, that's everything from Trace. Thank you. This is Ben and Trace signing off. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben.
Welcome. Hey everyone, I'm Ben and I'm sitting here with Megan. And for those who don't know Megan from Creation Academy, hello. For those who don't know me, I'm Cory, Michelle's partner, and I work with her in Creation Academy. And I wanted to get Megan on the camera today because when we were looking at that testimonial that we just showed, and it was filmed over 6 months ago, I knew there was so much more that had changed in Megan's life, and I really wanted to share that with you guys here today. So we have Megan. How did it feel? We just showed her the testimonial. How did it feel to watch that again?
It was really wild to see myself again and just to perceive how much, like, who I be. I almost don't even have words for it. I just feel so different in the sense of like more me. Like, yes, that was me, and what I was sharing and articulating was so true. And there's just this, like, I just feel so much even more me. Like, yeah.
So what I noticed is the first thing you said in the testimonial was that you wanted to have, I've got it written down here, more clarity, more confidence in what you're going for, and have fun along the way. And
yeah.
I've noticed in you in the last couple of months in particularly is your marketing is rocking. You look like you're having a ton of fun doing it. And like it looks amazing and it looks really natural and easy for you. When I watched that testimonial, I'm like, oh my God, it all showed up for Megan. Like, how does that feel now?
Wow, I am having more fun, and like I made a commitment to myself, a couple things. Like Cory said to me, so this post-it note, I am a maestro. This post-it note has been on my desk for the last several months, and one of our leadership calls, Cory said, like, reminded to me, you're the maestro. Like, you're the maestro of your life. What are you choosing? What are you creating? So I wrote this down and it's been there reminding me I'm the one that's creating everything. So if something's not working for me, I'm creating it. What do I desire differently? And so in regard to your question about the marketing and all of that, it's like I am more and more recognizing and willing to acknowledge I'm the one creating this. So what is it that I wish to create? And anything that's not feeling fun and in the flow, it's looking at, okay, what am I getting the chance to look at here and choose and do it, make a different choice? And what energies am I wishing to bring to this that could create something different here? And it's just recognizing I'm the freaking maestro. I'm the one that's getting, if this isn't working for me, what else do I wish to create? And how can I create this with even more fun and magic and ease and all of that?
Wow, I love that. That's amazing. Like that I am the maestro there's something very powerful about that.
Yeah.
I love that. Another thing I've noticed about you, particularly in the last few months, is the way you've shown up in Creation Academy and particularly in the leadership group has been such a massive contribution, and it seems to have come from a place of extreme confidence as well. How's that been for you?
Well, there's a few different things. I'm appreciating hearing that because in some ways, one of the things that I'm aware of is that I haven't felt as engaged in, for example, our Facebook group. And I've been engaging with our leadership group in a different way. Like, I'm aware that one of the ways that I process and get in touch with my, like, what's true for me is there's a lot of verbal processing that I would do, like a lot of just wanting to be heard, wanting to feel seen, like in the processing. And there was some ways a judgment of how much I felt like I needed to express myself, to like judgment of myself, of like, it shouldn't take that. Yet when I alleviated the judgment and actually just let myself tap in and tune into, is something actually more available to me here? And is the judgment actually pointing me to, there's different, first of all, what else is available to me when I'm not judging myself? Just acknowledging, okay, I talk a lot, like right now, I talk a lot to get into some clarity. And yet I also started to look at what's available for me beyond that. And what I've discovered, like with the leadership group, is specifically is around what can I do for myself with my journaling in the morning to have all of that. And so that when I actually lean in for support or to share something, there's more of just clarity. Here's my question. Here's my challenge. I'm asking for contributions, or even aware of, could I receive some contributions and not need to go into the whole story? And so there's just a certain degree of, and this is still a growing edge. I mean, this is a great example of it because it takes a lot of words sometimes to get to what I want to say. But this is one of my growing edges of where can I be asking for what I want in such a clear way that I'm actually more able to receive it, and what's mine to contribute here, that it's not the ego looking for some kind of accolades, but it's more of just, here's what I'm aware of, bam, what can I offer? So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what's coming through in this moment as far as contribution.
No, I think that's your journey and how you've grown within the group and within Creation Academy. And I think there's no judgment on that at all. That's totally how that has worked and played out for you. And from someone who's been in the leadership group with you, I feel like the way you've been showing up as a leader in that group has grown astronomically. And it's almost like when we started, you were potentially trying to contribute and trying to find your way and trying to find, and the trying isn't there anymore. You're just doing it, and it's just happening. It's just natural now. And there's a confidence in showing up as a leader, which is really fantastic to see and really magnetic to be around, because it's like, hey, Megan's kicking butt.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate hearing that reflection too. That the trying energy, the proving, like as that relates to leadership, as that relates to marketing, as it relates to being in a group like the Creation Academy group, like I've really gotten to work through leadership, through Creation Academy, look at that energy and really like work on letting it go, like letting go of all those patterns of like thinking I need to, the trying or thinking I need to be something for others or contribute to them by being a certain way. All of that is just a drain on energy, and it's not the real me showing up and contributing what's mine to contribute. So that's done a lot of the letting go of that. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Megan, I would love to know, you've got some big life changes happening, like I think as we speak. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening in your world?
Yeah, so in 2 days I'm moving to Portland.
Yeah.
So by the time folks might be watching this for the first time, it'll actually be my birthday weekend. I'll be in my new life in Portland, Oregon. And can I share a little bit story about how this actually came to be, which so reflected how I navigated this so differently? Would that be okay?
That's why we're here.
Yeah. So a few months ago, my housemate and I had the conversation, just really came to the clarity of like my time here was coming to an end. Instead of going into any kind of freak out of where am I gonna go next, or there was just this clarity of, yep, we've both been asking for this, and just she was one who had the courage to speak to it, and it catalyzed me being into the conversation of, yeah, it is time. It is time for what's next. Universe, show me like what's available to me here. Where am I being called to? and using the tools, being the energy, asking the questions. And what's really cool is I began to be really called to New Mexico. And so I started to explore that. And then within just like something, it shifted and I was being called to Oregon. And the willingness to ask the questions, be in the space of listening, being patient, perceiving the universe calling me, recognizing when it shifted, being willing to be in question about that, and then explore, oh, Oregon, okay, what, where in Oregon? And like just continuing to listen, and I wasn't sure where in Oregon, and then it became clear it was Portland, and start to create plans, and okay, so I'm going to be there. So just all along the way, listening, asking questions, receiving, moving forward with it. And then the ultimate that just is so reflective of my breaking free from the lie of belonging is the timeline of when I'm choosing to leave is a week before my dad's 80th birthday and when there's a bit of a family reunion. And I was willing to choose for me what was really true in the guidance that I was receiving of when to go, that was going to create the most for everyone, even though it doesn't seem like that, even though it seems like I'm choosing something that's so, why would you go a week before when there's going to be a family reunion and Dad's 80th birthday? It's like, it doesn't make sense in that rational way. And so it really required me to get super clear with what's true for me when I'm choosing for me, not choosing against anyone else. And so there's so much freedom and energy that's getting created in my world because I'm choosing for me, not against anyone else, not excluding others, just what's going to create the most here. And I just kept getting, it's going to create the most here if I leave on this date. So those are the life changes, like really letting go of a pattern of people pleasing, really letting go of that lie of belonging, of thinking I'm supposed to be, all of that. And instead looking at what's going to create the most and making choices from that.
And that's amazing. But I'm really curious, letting go of that pattern, making such a big decision to not, fall into the family is what family think you should do. How is that going to contribute to you in your life going forward?
This is where there's like so much. I just had the thought of this would be really interesting if anyone in my family ever watches this. That would be amazing because if they're in one of your rooms or classes watching this, that'd be amazing. And blessings on them, like so grateful for them. And your question was how or what is this going to create the more for me?
How's that going to contribute to you for the rest of your life?
Oh my God, I am so aware that this move, okay, so there's letting go of the lie of belonging and the family. There's the honoring my timeline. There's also the last month, I've wrapped up a several-year relationship with a client who I love and adore and worked with for many years, yet there was a way that I was not fully honoring myself towards the end in that relationship because there was always saying yes to their requests. Because I valued, I honored being accessible, being available, and that kind of thing. And so last month was my last month with them. And so this whole next chapter, this move to Portland, this geographic move, is also the ending of an old chapter where even though I've done so much work on this for like the last so many years, it's like really peeling off the last layer of the snake skin of like that old pattern of prioritizing others above myself and not including me 100% in my own life, business, creation, body, everything. And so there's like the last layers that are just like getting released as I make this move. And so what's it creating for me is this whole next, and I transitioned out of that in a real honoring way, but in a timeline that might not necessarily have been their preference. So it really is about what it's creating is me knowing I'm in the driver's seat. I'm the maestro. I'm the one that's getting to choose, not against anyone else. Really consciously asking what's going to create more for more. And what I perceive this creating for me is this huge amount of rocket fuel to be like, all right, girl, go. you're creating your new life, letting all of these choices contribute to what that next chapter is going to be when I'm at the steering wheel of my life.
God, that's so great. I am really curious, how has being part of Creation Academy contributed to the version of Megan that we're talking to today?
This is gold. This may just be a post-it note with blue Sharpie, but this is gold. And what's really fascinating to me is how Creation Academy has contributed to me and what I've required. Like this, I'm in my second year, right? So I'm in leadership. So the first year there was a lot of wanting to make sure I was getting my money's worth and wanting to make sure I was, by having something that I would post in the group every week and being on the calls every week and wanting to talk through things like this. And like, there's just a lot of like it was that. And so what has contributed to me now, it's like being in the field, getting to see the new group of people coming in and receive from their shares and their facilitation, all that's happening. It's like being in the field of the continuous reminder and invitation to receive my greatness and get the F out of my own way. And like, I'm the maestro. And it's like the reminders and the energies and the inspiration and the conversations that are around, like not buying into the story of the content of what everyone else in this reality is focusing in on, and like actually lifting beyond and out of to be like, what's the real conversation I want to be in my life, internally, externally, in the world. And like, it's that daily, weekly, monthly reminder of that. What's the conversation I want to be in, that I'm creating, that I'm catalyzing, and like the support to get out of my own way. When there's resistance, when there's like, there's something else here, there's something here I'm not seeing. Will you help me like see what this thing is and then create beyond it? All of that. And the inspiration from what I'm seeing others choose as well, with like, whether it's we're in the struggle of something or the like beyond the created something so far beyond, it's like so inspiring to be in a community of people who are choosing more and choosing the magic. Yeah.
I love that. Thanks, Megan. Cool. Because the people who are watching this, have the chance to join Creation Academy. Before we go, do you have anything you'd like to share with them?
A couple things. One is honor your knowing. You know, like I love asking questions of, is this going to make me money? And will choosing this create more? And what would this create in 5 years if I chose this? What would it create in 5 years if I didn't choose this? Like actually getting out of the mental activity that tries to figure out something and actually into questions that invite us into, what am I aware of here? Is this going to create more? Does this feel light and expansive? Then yes, I'm going to choose that. And so there's that. And there's also like what I found too is that I committed to a second year of Creation Academy to be like, okay, there's still more energetic mastery for me to do. I also complemented it with a couple of other things, like a couple of other programs to be like, okay, there are some other kinds of pragmatics or this kind of support that I require that complements this. And it's the energetic mastery though, that like, this is the goal. Like, this is really like, we can always seek out other kinds of programs and support that offer more pragmatics about X, Y, or Z. To me, what's so unique about Creation Academy and Cory is the conversation of the energetic mastery that I'm not seeing anyone else in this way. And to me, it's like, this is the skill set that's going to invite me to take the training wheels off and like really be the freaking maestro.
Thank you. I love that. Big mastery, everyone. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. Have fun.
Hey everyone, I'm Ben and I'm here. I'm Ben from the Creation Crew and I'm here with Michelle Robey, who's been in Creation Academy now for, Michelle, about 9 months, I think. And she has just seen the testimonial you guys all just watched.
Well, my first reaction is, wow, my energy's changed. And I thought I changed then. So it's sort of, even like I said in the video, it's like when I was thinking about this interview with you, I was wondering what would happen that I couldn't even imagine. And oh my gosh.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. You said in that, one of the early things you said, I wrote it down here, was you wanted to create a whole different reality and you wanted to have the feeling that you can actually do it. Like saying that 6 months ago and where you are now, how do you feel with that?
Wow, well, when I look at, so my life then, I was caught up in this very intense project that was very lucrative. And it wasn't long after that interview that I really became aware that it was draining me, it wasn't really what I wanted to do, and that I was pushing to make it happen. And I was quite intrigued with my comment about, I feel that I could be doing even more. And the emphasis on doing. And the thing that's really changed is how much space I've created in my life to be. So I created the early termination of that contract at the end of April, and since then I've had 3 months of space. And the knowing of the potency that I created that, the end of the contract, and the gratitude for that, rather than, oh my God, I've lost my work and da, 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 you know, and all the trauma and drama that the rest of the world goes into. And my parents were so upset that I lost my job that they just gave me $5,000 in cash. And so, and I could receive it. The other thing is my receiving levels are really up. And I don't know if it's okay to share this, but what I did with the money has changed my whole relationship with money. I gave it to me in cash. So I spread it on my bed, had a shower, and rolled around naked in it to just feel what it was like to roll around in money. And I haven't worried about money since. I have my little moments of niggles. What about the financial future? Because of course I don't have a lot of work at the moment, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just so different with money as well. So I'm doing a lot of being and learning, doing a lot of being. Listen to that.
To make this clear for everyone watching, like you joined Creation Academy and a couple of days later you created a contract that paid for the whole thing in one hit. Like you said, like it was just like, you talk about actualization, you created that contract, I think it was a couple of days after you joined, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that contract, I kept saying no because I knew it wasn't the kind of work I wanted to do. I want to work with people that really want to shift and change and be the magic. And I work in a corporate space, so it's not always having to talk about all the woo-woo stuff, but there are lots of people who have never done any of this kind of work, but they have this yearning and this longing to change, and that's what I want to work with. And that contract was not about that at all. And so I'm so grateful for that learning. And the interesting thing is that whilst taking space for these 3 months, like one of the things I learned from the mini product offer course was that I actually right now don't want to be out there actually doing marketing and doing business stuff. I just wanted to be and be spacious. And so interesting that whilst doing nothing and being, I've had about $30,000 worth of renewals of coaching contracts just show up in these 3 months. I've done absolutely nothing. They're just existing clients if they want to do more. And I can sense they're getting more from me as well, receiving more. So it's sort of like, and then the government's paying us JobKeeper, and I'm like, wow, okay. Who could have imagined this reality?
That's really something I wanted to acknowledge you for, because that I remember you telling us when that contract went away, and at the time we were a little bit concerned about it. We very quickly slipped into like an energy of like, no, I've got this, and this is a real opportunity for me. And what's shown up along the way has really been magical and really been fantastic to watch. And watching you get confident in those areas and choosing who you want to be and where you want to take your life has been really inspirational. And that's why I wanted to get you, that's specifically why I wanted to get you on the camera today, because that's been really inspirational to me and to the group.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the other thing I wanted to share is the magic of, I also put a lot of focus on putting myself first, and that's, I even had 2 weeks of being selfish as a priority. Like if I was truly being selfish, what would I choose? It brought up, wow, it was so confronting. And choosing for my body, and I'm looking at the food I eat, and my foot created an injured heel, so I can't exercise for 3 months, and that's been such a gift. And now I'm learning the additional challenge, if you like, of still putting myself first and not making myself less than him, and all those old patterns coming up. So it's this mixed blessing of this absolute joy and wonder and being confronted by the old stuff. And so it's such a different way of being with that. It's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I take you back to Cory for a sec? Because you said a couple of times in the testimonial, and this is the first one you said, the way Cory facilitates isn't always very comfortable. And then you said, I love that. Okay. I'm really curious. How is the uncomfortable facilitation? How does that contribute to you? And what can you tell people about that?
Well, it's not always uncomfortable, by the way. Like, just to put on the table that Cory can be so amazingly gentle in having your back when that's required. So just want to make that very, very clear.
Oh.
When it's uncomfortable, for me, it's about, okay, no bullshit. I'm not buying you putting yourself down, is sort of how I feel it. And it's like, hey, whoa, wake up, ding, ding, ding. It's a big wake up call. And then there's the challenge of not making myself wrong, being caught in a lie, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's, so for me, it's that, wow, all the places where I'm lying to myself and all the lies I've bought that I'm not even aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even realize blah, blah, blah.
Cool.
And yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to share with people about your experience in Creation Academy?
I have less and less interest in hanging out with people that don't meet my standards, light up my world, have my back. You know, the people who've drunk the Kool-Aid, for example, about the whole COVID thing. So whilst I'm in less allowance and judgment of them, I just don't enjoy their company as much. So it's sort of, which has made me more and more grateful for having a group like the Creation Academy, people that we can have these conversations that I feel I can talk about the real stuff and not pretend. I watched The Matrix last weekend, and it's like, wow, I so want out of the Matrix. And at the same time, the Creation Academy is showing me a glimmer of a different reality. And my reality has changed hugely. So that's sometimes the uncomfortable piece, is that awareness of what I don't want.
For anyone watching this and wondering whether they might want to join Creation Academy or curious, is there anything you'd like to share with them?
Just choose it. Actually, it's not choosing Creation Academy, it's choosing you and what's possible. You can't even imagine it. That's the only thing I can say. So it's just choose for you and come and join us and come and play with us weird, crazy peeps and just see what happens.
I love that. I love that. And what's next for you, Michelle?
I honestly don't know. And that is the beauty of it. Seriously, because I'm such a futurist, I'm always planning for the future. I always have a linear plan. I'm going to do this and this and this and this. So right now, it's really mastering putting me first and being congruent and integrity with the energy, mastering that in the face of a new relationship and the joy of all that. And in terms of money and business creation, I have absolutely no idea. It's mastering listening to the whispers of the future rather than worrying about it linearly. So that I'm actually mastering doing nothing and being.
And I love where you're at with it all. It's clearly really working fantastically for you.